Hi, this is Thea Lightweaver. Today's video is called 12 Signs You Are an Incarnated, Initiated, Temple, Priestess, or Priest. So 12 signs you've been initiated into a mystery cult or initiated as a priestess or priest in your previous incarnations. Initiation doesn't end at the death of the physical body. Most mystery cults knew and taught this. They knew the circles of initiates would forever be linked after translation or death of your physical form, which is why many of them taught out-of-body movement and travel in order to prepare the initiates for the journeys ahead. People who I give energy work to who have been initiated in past lives, this can be seen as contracts that they have signed within the Akashic records. Negative aspects of these kind of contracts can be broken, like things like vows of poverty. The parts of these contracts which are an advantage, which I would personally never want to end, are things like, for example, the initiates of the cult of Demeter and Persephone, or the Elysian mysteries, were guaranteed not to have to go to Tartarus after death. They would be able to go into the more beautiful realms like the Elysian fields. Initiates always have highly evolved guides watching over their travels throughout the universes for making these vows or contracts or being initiated. They forever will have very evolved deities or guides watching over them. And this can be a problem if you were initiated into an order that no longer resonates with your being. So I've come across people suffering from this type of thing in my healing work, and we have worked on breaking them free of contracts that they didn't need anymore, basically, so that they could move on. It's not the easiest thing to do, but once the soul is ready, it can be done because I've seen it. But I want to say, if you've been initiated into the purified, higher type of mystery schools and teachings, you are extremely blessed because not every soul gets the opportunity for this. And many times when these type of opportunities present themselves, souls don't always take it. This choice point comes up and a lot of them refuse, or they're not able to see the value in it at that point in time, which means that they have many more lifetimes and incarnations until they can be presented with an opportunity like this again in order to evolve out of the lower realms and out of lower states of consciousness. And so putting together this list was incredibly difficult, and of course I can't mention everything, but I'm just going to go over 12 basic points that have come up that seem the most prevalent, that maybe most people can identify with. And of course every priestess class and lineage and teaching is a little bit different, so this won't resonate with everyone, but overall, for the higher teachings, there is a main golden thread of truth that runs through all of these teachings. And so if you feel familiar with one path, there will be parts of other paths that will also strike a chord. It will feel like a familiar resonance within you as well. So I thought that this type of thing could be general enough to where souls from many different teachings would be able to relate to this, for most of it anyway. Getting started with my list, number 1, you feel called to a life of service. So one of the most familiar things within people who have been initiated, priests or priestesses, or who have dedicated one of their lifetimes or many to a temple or a deity, is that they feel called to serve others, because a priest or priestess is an intermediary for spirit, and they are like a channel or a way shower to the general community, where they are a living link from their deity and channeling out that vibration to the general community. So they give over their life in service. So many initiated, reincarnated priests or priestesses, they want to help people. and they don't always consider if that will earn them money or not. They just want to help. So money is not their primary concern, but although it can work out to where they can earn quite a bit of money from this, and so they can be drawn to healing, counseling others, praying for people from a distance, like many of the more isolated lineages would do, like even like nuns or monks in the Christian religion, being a bit more isolated from society, but praying or meditating from a distance. But that is still considered a life of service. Number 2 sign that you are an incarnated, initiated temple priest or priestess is that you feel naturally drawn to a life of seclusion. So there could be parts of you that do want to be out, like maybe in cities or in more community settings, but even at those times, you may just want to be around other people who are the same circle of evolution, spiritual evolution. But you may feel very drawn to places of seclusion, like retreat centers or ashrams, even being in spas where it's dark and you're just like one-on-one with someone. You may even be drawn to hospitals. You could be someone who feels comfortable being in a hospital, like as a patient even. It may just feel comfortable to be outside of your everyday life and everyday work mentality, but just to be drawn back a little bit from normal society. You feel comfortable in places that are staffed by healers because it feels like a sacred environment to you, or you feel at home working with healers. If you are an incarnated priest or priestess who has not experienced how soothing it feels, even just to be in a spa or maybe work in a spa environment, I definitely recommend booking massage treatments or getting self-care treatments and just seeing how restorative it is to be in a dark space alone with the healer. And I also recommend looking for a spiritual retreat center, like in an ashram, to go to regularly, just to restore yourself and to remind you of that ancient connection that you made with your spiritual path or lineage lifetimes ago. So sign number 3, you may only open up to or feel comfortable around people who feel spiritually in tune with you. You might feel very awkward and out of place in social situations because your soul lineage was crafted for priesthood, not so much for being a socialite. You don't enjoy small talk, you prefer deep, meaningful conversations, or would prefer to stay silent, and you can be very serious at times. And so sign number 4, you have a natural ability to access an altered state of consciousness. So you could just zone out at times or seem a bit like spaced out or a bit dissociated, but you're just off in another realm. And that can just happen very naturally. And other people may think you're a bit spacey, but you just have an ability that other people couldn't even dream of. Like they don't really understand because they're more focused on what's out here in the outer reality. You may become good at something without even practicing it. Like you may take up an interest, put it down, come back to it, and it's like you've downloaded a manual on how to do it. For example, energy healing, reading tarot or oracle cards, painting, writing. You may have trained in past lives as a priest or priestess on how to do these certain things, even dancing. You may have trained on how to do them before, and you zone out or you sleep, in your dreams. This could come, or just some time goes by and all of a sudden it's like you have downloaded your past ability to do things. You can just pick them up because you've uploaded the memories from the Akashic records in your dreams or parallel lives. Back to this natural ability to access another state of consciousness is ancient chants or frequencies give you chills and help you get into an altered state. You may have tinnitus or hear frequencies in your ears at certain times, which means you are downloading sacred knowledge and you've been linked to these channels in past lives already. You may have intensely vivid dreams or be able to lucid dream or to do out-of-body movement and get messages in your dreams. These are things that priests and priestesses and people of mystery schools train in. Most of them all train in this because this is a way to touch the divine and know thyself, to know that you are an eternal being. Tying in with this sign number 4 is that you may not be afraid of death. You may have no fear of death because, like in the Elysian mysteries with Demeter and Persephone, they don't know exactly what the initiation rites were, but we know that their initiates came out no longer afraid of death because they were shown what happens after death. With the Egyptian paths as well, they were teaching about what happens after you die and that life doesn't end there. Of course, there is a bit of the, you had to be a good soul. When your heart was weighed on the scales after you die, you would get to move on to a nicer place if most of the decisions that you made in life were based from your heart and not so much logical thinking. Sign number 5. You are intensely drawn to ancient civilizations like ancient Egypt, ancient Greece and Rome, Avalon, Sumeria, ancient civilizations in Africa, and Atlantis, and Lemuria. So if you feel like the hairs are standing up on the back of your neck or something when you see old art and depictions of ancient civilizations and you just feel drawn and pulled to it, and it really makes no sense why you would like it so much, because it's not a part of your daily life, this life. It's not random. These things are ancient callings in our soul. So sign number 6, you have deep, mesmerizing eyes that look thousands of years old. This is showing that you have accessed deep spiritual knowledge. And this knowledge is, of course, tinged in love and compassion, and a love that links all of life together. So not only deep eyes, but this sweet, love that it just looks, like eons of years old. And so a lot of us will have maybe even dark eyes. I noticed a lot of us will have dark eyes, but the lighter colored eyes too. But there's this depth to our eyes, and people can get kind of hypnotized by them. So sign number 7, you love to wear loose flowing gowns. So you're not that into showing off your ass or or wearing skin tight clothes, but you are more regal in your dress, and you may have long flowing hair. The way that you dress may even be a bit romanticized, and you have a regal demeanor about you, where you just appear to others as being high status, and it may feel comfortable just to wear like robes or very loose clothing, because that's what priests wore a lot in many of the different paths. That's what priests and priestesses were wearing. Sign number 8 is the pillaging of the mother goddess brings you intense anger or sadness. It just hurts you deep in your heart. And it also brings you anger or sadness to hear about the ways the Christian religion destroyed the ancient temples. The unbalanced patriarchy that has dominance in the world right now is very uncomfortable for you. You also know it feels wrong deep down to see women derogating themselves to please men by acting in an arrested state of development, trying to look and act as young as possible. That is very uncomfortable for us as we mature. In this lifetime, we start to realize and remember that We know that the power of women coming into their full wisdom, their matron and crone sides, we know how powerful that is. And we know that the patriarchy wanting to idealize the maiden age range of a woman is just basically keeping us from our full power and coming into our full power. We can see the way that the patriarchy benefits from idealizing the most vulnerable and undeveloped years of being a female. So if they keep the divine feminine in her maiden state within the consciousness of women at this time, it keeps things unbalanced because men are allowed to come into the full wisdom of age, but women, it's idealized for us to look as young as possible, for us to act like sexually curious and just wanting to give away our sexuality to anything. That's idealized a lot in Western civilization, but actually that is disempowering women, and it's not allowing us to mature into discernment and protecting our divine feminine. So that sort of thing we have a comfortable sensation with, and it may be not right away when we're very young, because of course our brains aren't fully developed, of course, but as we mature we can really see that that is not right, and we want to protect the divine feminine and future generations, and help them to come into their true divine mother, which also includes her matron and crone states, and those are incredibly powerful times that need to be integrated and shown as much respect. They have as much beauty as the maiden times of life as well. So sign number 9 is that spirit, however you define that, feels like the most important and primary focus of your life. And you might not always think about it every minute of the day. You may get distracted at times and forget about your spiritual divinity, but there's an underlying current where you know the number one important focus to you in life is your spirituality and the divine. It's just such a strong pull to know spirit and to know God or your gods or whatever you call it. The Great Spirit is just number one, and it dominates your life. And the reason why this would feel so important to you is because you were called by a certain path, and you have made the decision to give yourself over to that path or spirit or being or deity. And then the reason why that even got arranged in whichever lifetime that happened in, or multiple lifetimes, is because it was just a very important thing to you on your soul journey at that time. And so it will be now as well. You have spent a lot of lifetimes advancing yourself and getting past, I guess I would say, selfish, egoistic desires, to know that there is something greater than self, and that this force can help to direct you to a higher state of consciousness. And that is so juicy just to think about. Like, you just want it, you may salivate over it, the mysteries. So that's sign number 9. Sign number 10. This won't apply to everyone, but I have seen this come up many times. It's not just me, so I'm going to mention it. So sign number 10, you may be unmarried, or you can thrive being single, as many times priests and priestesses had to abstain from the family aspect of life. But if you do partner up, you prefer deep, lasting spiritual relationships that are monogamous and that you devote yourself to in the same way that a priest or priestess would devote their life path to serving a god or a goddess or spirit, or even like a king. Like when I was a priestess in ancient Egypt, I was considered married to the king of the time, and there was a blood lineage connection there, but also I was considered like a wife priestess to the king. So, and the blood lineage was how I was found and invited to be a priestess at the palace. On top of, somehow it was known that what was told to me was my third eye was open at that time, so that's why I was also asked to come in there. So you may have a unique ability to dedicate your entire being to one person in a way that frivolous culture that is happening today of just spreading yourself thin and putting yourself here and there and whatever, like that doesn't resonate with you. You have the ability to make a deep vow to the point of other people wouldn't even be able to understand where you're coming from. Maybe other priests or priestesses could, but just because you're such a deep and ancient soul that you can make that deep vow. Otherwise, you can just be fine being unmarried and just devote yourself to your sacred path. Sign number 11, you are a natural scholar. You love to learn and read books, and you feel at home in libraries. Many temples were homes to the city or town's libraries, and they were places of sacred knowledge. The priest's class would usually be trained in writing, studying, reading in different languages even, and the sacred texts on the other planes of existence, they were integrated into our being through knowledge first. Of course, first he would have to learn the sacred knowledge through stories and words, and then you would go off through out-of-body travel into the libraries in the other planes of existence and gather knowledge there. Many priests and priestesses, because they developed that ability to channel and to access other states of consciousness, that a lot of them would write down some of the sacred knowledge that they received from those other places and brought them into this reality as well if they were asked to do that by their spiritual masters. There's a feeling within us of knowing that there are secrets and mysteries and things that can bring us healing wisdom through the pages in books. So we always feel on the hunt for knowledge, and that's why we love books. Sign number 12 is you are able to see through crowd hysteria or groupthink, and mass media can't convince you of things in the same way that it seems to convince others. A lot of us have memories of things that have come to pass through large groupings of people who all just kind of jump on the bandwagon of a certain thought that is basically hijacked by the darker forces. And because we are able to keep our connection with pure spirit, we can see that a lot of the things that mainstream media is saying, not just in this life but in other lifetimes, corruption, it just seems to keep repeating, and we have memories of that. So all the while we are able to stay connected to our spiritual lineage, we may see other people who have not been initiated and who don't know the deeper mysteries can easily get carried away and swept up in these type of currents. And we already have a distrust for this if we've seen things in other lifetimes, like when I was a priestess in Atlantis and I saw the corruption that took place with when they were a bit warped and trying to use types of energy that led to the downfall of the civilization, and they were trying to convince the masses that it was a good thing, and people just went along with it, and it ultimately ended up with the fall of the whole civilization. Just when you live these things, lifetime after lifetime, it becomes harder each time to be manipulated in such a way, and we just have a distrust for being we can't be fooled in the same way that other people can. So that is my list of the 12 signs that you were an incarnated priest or priestess in a past life or in many past lives. I hope this video made sense, and if you liked it, I'd really appreciate if you could like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow it, and I want to get the message out about different spiritual paths and to create a community where people like us, if you're drawn to this video, you may have some kind of a connection with this place that I'm at here spiritually in my evolution, and I want to just share ideas with others. And if you could like and share this, it will help to reach more people. And yeah, I really appreciate you all. And if you have any other video ideas for me, you can always leave them in the comments below. Thanks, bye.